there! Let's talk about more things in Ascendance of a Bookworm light novels that were skipped or glossed over in the anime adaptation. We are continuing with Part 2, Volume 2 to finish up with Season 2 content. Because it's been a while, and I do mean a while, here's a quick review of what I covered in Part 1 of this video. First, I talked about how Mine toured the restaurant during the construction phase with her temple attendants, with Fran and Rosina giving Benno all kinds of valuable input. Then, I covered how Mine managed to contrive a lunch invitation from Ferdinand for research purposes, and how thanks to that meal she was able to learn what exactly a noble meal entailed and how it compared to her own recipes. After that, I also talked about one of my favorite scenes in the book, and that's the scene when Mine explains her new book printing technology, causing Ferdinand's processor to crash as he tried to process it all. Next, I talk about how Mine wrote the story of Cinderella for her next picture book, only for Ferdinand to totally rip it apart. Finally, we learned more about the artistic Blue Shrine Maiden, Sister Christine, and how she influenced Rosina and her views of what a Blue Shrine Maiden should be. In this video, I'll delve into the last 5 items from Part 2, Volume 2 that the anime couldn't include. These pertain to aspects within the light novel that weren't featured in Season 2. I won't be discussing Mine's dream world in this video. I know that it's incredibly important for the story and we got a lot of stuff cut out in the adaptation. However, I already made a video on it and I invite you to watch it if you haven't already. So, let's get this started. If you've ever seen Bookworm fan art, you might have seen several adorable images that depict Mine as a bunny-like creature called a shoe mill, and you might have also seen Ferdinand depicted as a cute little squirrel. It's easy to see how Mine got stuck with being a shoe mill, but what's up with Ferdinand? How did the mighty Lion of Ehrenfest end up as a squirrel of all things? The origins of that come from the light novel and the manga. Early in the book, Mine schedules a meeting with Ferdinand to talk about new retainers. During this meeting, she gives Ferdinand some cookies to eat with his tea. So far, this is nothing the anime didn't cover. However, it is revealed that they are tea-infused cookies, and judging by how quickly he eats them, Mine concludes that Ferdinand must have liked them quite a lot. In the manga, this is so darlingly depicted, with Mine going so far as to imagine a squirrely Ferdinand munching away at his cookies. In the anime, we don't even get a hint of this preciousness, which I consider such a missed opportunity. Episode 8 is one heck of a packed episode. It covers Wilma facing her fears and crafting a new print-friendly art style. Plus, there's a significant and very emotive moment when Mine finally gets to create her very first book in this world. But making that first book a reality required more than just paper and ink. Mine and Lutz had to develop a bunch of other essential printing tools, most of which got glazed over in the anime, suddenly appearing without much explanation of where they came from and even what they do. In contrast, the light novel takes great pains to show how Mine either designed and ordered customized tools from workshops or ingeniously assembled them from household items. Some of these self-made tools even required a bit of effort as well. For example, the homemade Baron. Falling ill from collecting soot for her ink, Mine was forced to stay home for several days. While her family and Lutz argued whether she was fit to return to work at the temple or not, Mine wandered off into the storeroom in her home and fashioned her own Baron using items she found there. It's worth noting that the light novel and the manga portray it as a square Baron rather than the circular one depicted in the anime. They do touch on the cost issues of buying ink from workshops, and it does highlight Mine's decision to make her own ink. What's missing, however, is the detailed process of Mine teaching Lutz how to make the ink from soot and oil. This, in turn, leads to Lutz teaching the Grey Priest how to do it. The whole ink-making endeavor was quite a task, According to the light novel, the suit needed to be finely powdered first, then mixed with linseed oil on a marble slab. The process involved using a scraper and a pestle to work it into a thick, glossy consistency. During the demonstration, Lutz put in a lot of effort, even breaking a sweat as he mixed and mixed and mixed until it was ready. Mine realized that the mixing and production of ink, even in small batches, would require the strength of adult grey priests. Next, Mine's only option to evenly spread out the ink is a white brush, as no one in the world had ever invented a roller. So she goes to Johann, who is ecstatic to receive more work from her after having enjoyed making the precision knives so much. And after getting all the details, he makes one that works exactly as Mine intended. While Lutz has the self-imposed responsibility of making everything Mine dreams up, he's first and foremost an apprentice merchant and must be clean and presentable at all times. Born out of a need to keep Lutz's hands clean when printing, Mine devises this little contraption, a mimeograph frame. She orders the mesh from a craftsman and hires Lutz's brothers to help make the frame. Don't get me wrong, episode 8 was really fun, but I really liked how the light novel not only showed the effort it took to accomplish things, but also guided us through Mine's logical journey of coming up with these necessary tools. This was done without getting too technical and seamlessly integrating into the storytelling, which I found really impressive. As readers, we're part of this process and it's not boring at all. The excitement and joy that Mine feels with each new discovery is infectious and is one of the things that makes these initial volumes just so rewarding to read. Thanks to everyone's efforts, all the necessary pages for the children's Bible were printed. In the anime, the orphanage kids were the ones that helped fold and assemble the pages. And while that's not entirely wrong, there are some additional details that I thought worth sharing. When it came to folding, Mine had to instruct the adult and older gray-robed apprentices on how to fold paper, organizing everyone into squads to make sure the process was as organized as possible. She could only supervise though, and was not allowed to do any folding herself. Mine was antsy and dying inside all the while as she noticed that the edges were not aligning perfectly. After all, no one had any experience folding paper in that world. She likened the process to watching foreigners clumsily attempt origami for the first time. While she sent back the worst-looking ones, she was forced to suck it up and settle for less than perfect. Just like in the anime, Mine took a set of pages home and got Thule and Lutz's help to bind the book with string. In the light novel, Thule shyly asked for a copy of the book as payment, revealing her desire to learn reading after seeing Mine and Lutz use their diptychs and seeing Corina also write down notes whenever she met with clients. Mine agrees and is in fact overjoyed that Thule wants to learn and volunteers to be her tutor. It's funny how Thule asked for a book as payment, never knowing until a bit later that the book she asked for is in fact a costly luxury item. When Thule goes to the orphanage to teach sewing to the kids, she's surprised when she sees that those little kids know how to read a little, which is a lot more than she can do. Mine encourages her to do her best and, if she wants, to play karate with the kids so that she can learn her letters faster. The world needs more of our green-haired angel, and the sisterly dynamic between Thule and Mine is adorable to see, both on screen and in the books, and honestly, I cannot get enough of it. In Part 2, Volume 2, we witness Mine taking on her new responsibilities at the temple in earnest. It turns out that being the orphanage director comes with its challenges, and this is especially highlighted in the chapter where Mine gets ready for winter. While being in charge of the orphanage gives her the ability to create more paper using labor from the Grey Priests and orphans under her care, she is also responsible for their well-being and has to figure out how to clothe, feed, and keep them warm all throughout the winter, on top of preparing for her own stay in the temple. Thankfully, Mine doesn't face these challenges alone. Benno steps in to assist with arranging butchers and procuring pigs for slaughter. There's a comical scene where she tries to sweet-talk him for a discount, but he turns her down flatly, while Lutz scolds her for being too obvious. Gunther and Lutz's entire family also join in the effort. Moreover, adults and children from the orphanage, who had never participated in pig butchering and winter preparations, all lend a hand to help, including Delia, who had been super reluctant about joining in. Delia ended up enjoying it and returned looking super excited and eager to share everything that she had seen and learned while outside the temple. The light novel delves further into the additional goods they crafted. For example, it explains the process of creating glue using the pork hide, with Mine providing Lutz a step-by-step explanation. And thanks to her experimentation in previous winters, Mine has mastered creating odorless candles through her salting technique and making them smell even nicer with herbal additions. This she teaches Lutz and the others so that they could also create candles of their own. Lutz also taught the others to make cheese, the kind that needs curing but which will last much longer, while the Grey Priest squeezed oil from fruits to use in lamps over the winter, and the children helped with drying mushrooms and making jam. My favorite chapter of the winter prep, though, is the one where the whole crew goes to the city to purchase some winter clothes. At this point in the story, Mine is facing financial challenges. Besides managing the orphanage's winter preparations, which were entirely funded by products created by the orphans and the Grey Priests themselves, Mine needs to use her own money to outfit her chambers with warm blankets, rugs, daily essentials, and a complete winter wardrobe that's not patched like her previous attire. Moreover, she must ensure warm clothing for both the orphanage children and her retainers, prompting a trip with Benno, Lutz, Thule, and her retainers to acquire second-hand clothes in the lower city. Gil and Lutz end up debating over the same outfits. Delia gleefully chooses cute clothing without restraint, as does Rosina, while Fran, faced with indecision and conscious about Mine's financial restraints, ends up receiving help from Rosina. Thule grapples between practicality and aesthetics, but takes the leap for a cuter dress, inspired by Delia's carefree approach. Amid these choices, Mine struggles to minimize her own purchases. Benno advises her to prioritize quality for practical reasons, leading her to eventually sell some of her children's Bibles to cover the expenses. As the list of her needs grows, however, panic sets in about her dwindling wallet. Luckily, Lutz steps up, offering to pay for her winter attire. Initially hesitant, Mine accepts after Benno points out that while their profits are shared equally, she fronted the entire initial investment. Letting Lutz cover her clothing expenses is a way to balance things out. And so, with these arrangements in place, Mine is fully prepared for the winter. The fact that she is able to not just look out for herself, but for the children under her care, is so admirable that even Ferdinand expressed his relief that she's looking after these matters and praised her for it. Praise which, we know all too well, is rare and precious coming from him. These chapters truly showcase the remarkable growth that Mine has undergone since the first book, where she was more of an observer. Now, although she may still be on the periphery, she's orchestrating tasks, funding projects, and even negotiating with merchants to ensure both the orphanage and her workshop are fully prepared for winter. Despite her susceptibility to fevers and illness, and despite her young age and inexperience, her impact on the lives of those around her is far from negligible. In fact, her contributions are indispensable. Without her, the orphanage children would face a cold and hungry winter. I've previously highlighted how Mine becomes adept at delegating tasks, and how that aids her significantly in later volumes. However, I've yet to touch on her compassionate actions and their lasting significance. saving the pre-baptismal children and providing means for the grey robes to earn money were acts that, in nobility, were looked to be almost nonsensical, because who would bother to do something that benefits them so little? Of course, they don't know that mine is gleefully filling the world with more paper goods and books thanks to the orphanage workshop. So, while these actions aren't entirely selfless, they began to establish her role within the temple and, in time, noble society. Furthermore, they serve as a cornerstone for what eventually evolves into her legendary sainthood narrative. Soon enough, her compassionate acts will have everybody in the temple praying to her. Okay, so maybe that's taking it too far. There's no way. And with that, we conclude Part 2, Volume 2 of Ascendance of a Bookworm. This volume stands out as a fascinating point in Mine's journey, where the Venn diagram circles of commoner life and noble culture intersect profoundly. As the daughter of a lowly soldier from the lower city, Mine has risen through the ranks and now engages in business dealings with wealthy merchants, assumes responsibilities, and receives noble training within the temple, and even partakes in magic rituals, all within one volume. Yet Mine remains true to herself. She's motivated by books, by a desire to create more books, and her ultimate moment of triumph in this volume was when she created her first book. And that's a cause for celebration, if you ask me. From this, we can only wonder, what else is she going to do? Well, I suggest you continue reading the light novels because it only gets better from here. I hope that you all enjoyed discovering more about Ascendance of a Bookworm. If you haven't delved into the light novels yet, do let me know what aspects intrigued you the most and what you'd like to learn more about. For those who've already read the light novels, share your favorite parts. Just a friendly reminder though, please avoid spoilers in the comments. Nothing beyond the content that anime seasons 1 through 3 covers, please. And finally, I would like to give a special shout out to Ren, who is a supporter of mine over on my Ko-fi. Ren, you are an opal. Opal is regarded as a stone strongly associated with the emotions, including love and compassion. It is also thought to promote spontaneity, imagination, dreams, and healing. Now, I don't know about dreams and healing, but you certainly showed your spontaneous, creative, and imaginative side the other day when you and I did a half-hour work sprint over on Discord. I did my little artwork while you wrote an entire freaking poem. Seriously amazing. Please continue to write, and thank you so much for your support and for sharing your talent with me. And a final thank you to all my supporters on Ko-fi, and all of you who donate via Super Chat, Super Stickers, or Super Thanks here on YouTube. Much love and appreciation to all of you. Until next time, bye-bye.